your life.
Well, very good. Thank you. And I think this is a little bit different committee, so I don't think we need to do some of the formalities, but we're going to bring this meeting to order. And this should be a fairly quick joint conference committee. We're reviewing House Bill 11 and the differences between the Senate and the House. And I'll describe kind of the differences fairly quickly, and we can discuss and see where we would like to go. And if necessary, we may have a couple people who do want to speak to this amendment or to this bill. But let me talk through the bill just a little bit. The way this bill came out initially, in its initial release, it was released with some changes, with a change in the sunset date, and it changed the sunset date from 2027 to 2037, I believe is how the initial bill came out. And the way this bill was amended in the House, when it went through the House, it came out of the House amended where we removed the sunset date completely. So that was really all that happened to this bill. It removed the sunset date. And just real quickly what this bill does, it was a manufacturing sales and use exemption amendments is what it was. And what it did for that, the House position was that the sunset date was completely removed. And I'll give a little bit of background to that conversation and try to make this as quick as we can. Theoretically, or the philosophy was to remove that sunset date, and ultimately, because removing the sunset date does not remove the either body's, House or Senate's option to review those exemptions, to go through their exemptions, review them, and change that. And the House's position was, in this particular case, we were just going to remove the sunset date. The Senate amended that with some changes where they simply put the sunset date 10 years out in the future. So again, they changed the sunset date from 2027 back to 2037. So that is the complete extent of the changes. The Senate, again, put it back to the 2037 sunset date. The House's position currently is that the sunset date was completely removed, and that is the complete difference between the two bills. So I guess I open it for conversation here. I know there's a couple people who would not mind speaking. Do we want to hear public testimony? We kind of have that option. If we want to do that, I guess I would ask for the Senate's input and discussion on this.
Yeah, I don't have a problem listening to public testimony if there's anybody who wants to talk.
Thank you. And Representative, please, and if you don't mind trying to keep it short, I don't think it'll be too much, but thank you. I believe you may have been the bringer of the amendment quite possibly, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Joint Conference Committee, J.T. Larson, House District 17. Yes, I was the one who brought the amendment on the House side, and I'll kind of explain why. So I gave you all a handout. It's 3915-105, and that's the sales tax statute. Specifically, Romanet 8 deals with, for the purposes of exempting sales of services and tangible personal property as an economic incentive, the following are exempt, goes through a whole bunch. None of those exemptions that are listed under that specific part of statute in the exemptions have a sunset date. It's specifically this one that we've targeted. And, this exemption does support the drone industry in my corner of the country, that they use it a lot. And I also sat on the Minerals Interim Committee, and we had this discussion on we didn't really go into depth on whether we wanted to extend it in perpetuity or have a sunset date. There was a motion to extend the 10 years, but there was also not anyone that like raised concern of extending it in perpetuity or getting rid of the sunset date basically in the interim committee process. So somebody just made a motion and we did the 10 years, but it wasn't due to any philosophy, at least in the minerals committee interim process. So that's why I brought the amendment. I wanted to put our money where our mouth is and support our core industries. And, you know, the goal of this specific exemption is to make sure that our manufacturing facilities can continue to reinvest in equipment that's used in the process of extracting our minerals, which then the state receives benefit from because we receive the ad valorem and other taxes off those minerals. So that's why I felt that it was important that we just get rid of that sunset date, and appreciate the opportunity to explain the position. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Larson. Appreciate that. Others who would like to give testimony? And if I could ask, please be as brief as possible so we can make this fairly quick and get to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jody Levin here on behalf of the Trona industry. Mr. Chairman, we had requested this as an interim topic because of the looming sunset date. These can be very difficult to pass, so that's why we started early in requesting this review. We appreciated 10 years. Anything less than 10 years is not very helpful to the industry. We obviously appreciate the efforts of the House and Representative Larson in saying, let's get parity with all of the incentives that are for economic, or all the tax exemptions that are for economic incentive. So we would say 10 years is great. Obviously, no sunset is great. Anything in the middle is great. We would just please like this exemption to continue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Travis Detail with the Mining Association. Pretty much would echo what Mrs. Levin just said. You know, the 10-year extension was sort of what we started at, what we were asking for. We really like the House's position of eliminating the sunset, and we would be certainly appreciative of that. But again, the goal is to get this bill through because the exemption is very important to our industries.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Rennie McKay, President of the Wyoming Business Alliance, and we represent the manufacturers of Wyoming as well. And several of you heard one of the Business Alliance members, Puma Steel, come in and testify. And I just build off of what my colleagues have said, and that is the importance of this bill is the certainty that it provides for the businesses in manufacturing in Wyoming, so that if this passes now, they have that certainty that this exists. They start building out their deployment strategy for new equipment. So just thank you so much for getting this to this point, because this does send certainty to the industry that they should invest in new equipment in Wyoming. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all for any questions for any of the speakers. Senator, please.
I'm really thankful for this legislation, because now I'm not a meat cutter anymore. I now manufacture hamburger and I manufacture bread. Just kind of trying to lighten it up. My serious question is, so you're happy at 10 years or in perpetuity, either way, works for everybody?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would echo that. The longer the better. If it goes away, that's great.
We fought pretty hard on the Senate floor. I'm sure you were all there. You saw how it went down. I guess we'll have a conversation here and see where we end up. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess we'll just open up for conversation here. And again, I haven't been through one of these processes. If you'd like to take lead on that, Senator, please do.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, it was kind of fought pretty hard in the Senate to keep the 10-year sunset date there. I fought against it, but we got defeated pretty handily with it. And I think if we need to get this done, maybe we just do a 15-year sunset date.
Extend it out.
That was my amendment on the House floor, and they killed that amendment. It went 28-31, didn't it? Yeah, it went 28-31. But I think we need to keep the sunset, put a 15-year on it, so they get their certainty. But later on down the road, another legislature will have to look at this again to see if they want to keep it going. Because I think if you take it off and do it in perpetuity, it's gonna be lost. There's 57, I believe there's 57 other things like this in statute that we need to look at.
I'm flexible. I'm just sharing with you. The Senate position was 10 years.
Senator Ide, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, not to talk too long, everybody wants to go home, but just to echo Senator McEwen, we both fought for keeping it, just taking the sunset date out on the Senate floor. And as he said, the will wasn't there. We had a lot of people talk, not a lot, but a lot of talk in favor of just leaving it at 10 years. So I think that listening to Clarence Stivar, and we could try to come back and get something extended, but I don't think we're gonna get it in perpetuity. And I think it's the only one on the books, sales and use, that has a sunset date on from what we heard from the Department of Revenue. So it is an anomaly to what's on there right now, but we're not gonna go anywhere with it perpetuity in the Senate, it sure appears. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But it doesn't seem like it'll get through the House with a sunset date on it either.
Well, I think the House would like to push that, they would probably even prefer to push it beyond the 15 if possible. But we want to be, what do you think so you don't think for sure the in perpetuity is off the table for the Senate in your opinion?
Yes.
Because that's a position I would push as well. I think we're in favor. Please,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Davis.
Every year, excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Every year, December 1st, we get a report from Revenue on this to the Revenue Committee. So, I mean, it's not like it just disappears. I mean, every year it's brought back with a report and tells you what is going on with it. So that's why I thought the in perpetuity was a good deal.
Well, in the House, for sure, is voting there. There's almost no question. And again, I think we're pushing that. But I guess, do you believe 15 years is a manageable change at the Senate, in the Senate position?
We might be able to go 20.
We're speculating here on what the appetite is for that. Mr. Chairman, sorry.
No problem, please, Senator Ide.
I'm for as long as possible, but we want to get it through one way or the other here from industry. I don't know what happens if we take it back at 20 and it fails. Do we come back for a free conference? Is that kind of what happens?
Is that
Yeah,
how it
yes,
works?
Chairman.
Well, if that's the case and we come back, how does 20 sound for us to amend this?
I kind of lean towards 15, and I think I can sell it. I should pick different words.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. And so discussion with this body, I know Representative Davis, you have an opinion on that?
If the good chairman from the Senate thinks he can sell it at 15 years, then that's assurances for industry out here. And so 15 years, we can look at it again. So that would be, if he feels he can do that, I think that's a good deal. I'd be an aye on that.
Okay. Other discussions? Representative Stivar.
Let's try it with 15 in the Senate. If not, come back and do one more conference. Because I don't think the House position, like you said, the House position is no sunset, take it off. But, we got it through, like I said, 28 to 31 for a 15-year sunset. I think we can sell that in the House too.
And just one last ask. Co-chair, you think 20 is a bridge too far for the Senate?
I do.
Okay. Okay.
I think we go 15. I think it's far enough out. You guys should be able to get it through, and I should be able to get it through.
Okay, so what we'll do then, from an amendment, and so I guess the amendment that would be proposed, we would propose this amendment based on the engrossed version, and we would look to make the changes to, let's see, line 6 and line 19 on page, I guess I gotta look through this a little bit, but we would modify lines 6 and line 19 instead of to 2020 or 2037, the way that the Senate amended it. We would modify that line until December 31st. What would that be? 2043 would be 15.
2042.
42? Oh, yeah, 2042 would be the 15 years. So those two lines, that would be the amendment that we would make to the engrossed version. Does somebody want to make that amendment? I guess somebody should actually.
Just did.
Okay, I'll move that amendment.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. So I moved it, and Senator McEwen seconded. Okay, so do we need to call a roll on this vote? All right. All in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So now, I guess procedurally, do we just adjourn at this point? Very good. Thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. And we'll see how we do on both Senate and the floor. Thank you, and we're adjourned.